Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritually Boujee Astrology, and we're going to do an astrological breakdown of November 24th to November 30th. Now, your quick final reminder, final. That's it. This is the last week of the special, the Mercury Retrograde special. This is your final reminder that if you're going to book sessions with me at the discounted rate, this is the pricing that you will never ever get again. So all you got to do, one more little rundown of it just to kind of get everybody on the same page. Go to my website, www.thespirituallyboujee.com. You can see that right here. Go over to astrological services. We've got four different things here, but the main two that we're going to look at are these first two. The first Mercury retrograde special, you can do an hour-long session for $35. You can do a 90-minute session for $50. If you don't want to just do that, if you want to do a multi-packet special, you could do 3 or 5 60-minute sessions at $35 a piece. Even the 3 package has been lowered down to make sure it's all $35. If you want to gift readings, you can do that. You can go to gift certificates, go to one-on-one coaching session for either the 60 or the 90-minute, and they are also listed at the discounted pricing. That means if you want to gift my craziness to someone else, you can. But again, whatever is going to work for you, it's all about making sure you are getting prepared for whatever energies are coming into, because we got a lot of new coming into 2026. And there's still a lot of people, you're very blind to what the new is going to be. Some of us we know, some of us we don't. That's that human effect I talk about. But this is your final reminder that if you were wanting to book sessions with me at the most discounted rate, this is the last week to do it. When I wake up Sunday morning on November 30th and Mercury is direct, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change everything back on the website. So there is that. Okay. Oh, this last week. The emotions, the rawness, the energy, the physical effects, the things that came to light, the things that got revealed, the things that came into focus. It doesn't matter if it was just something in our mundane life, that emotional energy. For some of us, it was a physical reaction. I can literally count how many people have sent me pictures of cleaning out their cabinets or their closet in this Mercury retrograde. There's so many of you that were like, oh no, this like reorganization, reorder thing. No, I'm with it. Look, this is my kitchen state right now. It's like, oh yeah. Well, necessary for that reorganization, necessary to be able to get through the rose colored glasses, see something for what it truly is. And whenever I was meditating on things this morning, I had a specific song that kept coming through, and I could just feel in the lyrics just how much I know that was matching the vibration of people. I'm going to tell you the song here in a minute. Whenever it came to the vibration of last week, and I said that there would be a lot of emotions, a lot of things flooding to the surface, a lot of things coming through. I meant the physical reactions when I warned it at the very beginning of the Mercury retrograde, just kind of being like, this whole timeline, we got to be prepared for it. But I knew last week was going to have a lot of raw energy to it. And now, once we got to the end of the week and the start of this week, a lot of people are just at this point of, I'm still sad, this still hurts, but I can't cry anymore. And that's a real big energy as to how we're going into this next week. It's coming to a point of accepting that the truth has always been there. We have just chose not to see it. For some of us, it's not accepting that. It's finally being able to recognize that pattern within ourselves, within someone else. But there's a broken feeling to it. And the song that I was hearing, I'm probably not going to say her name correctly. It's Natalie Imbruglia. I'm pretty sure it's called Imbruglia. The song is Torn. I'm all out of faith. This is how I feel. Cold, ashamed, naked on the floor. Illusions never changed into something real. Wide awake, perfect sky is torn. I did a little ad libbing on some of those lyrics just so pay attention to YouTube and Spotify gods. Blech. Okay. The vibration of that song. It encompasses so much of like waking up to the rawness that you feel after realizing someone that you loved, the potential of love, the potential of connection, the potential of partnership, the potential of the relationship, the potential of something that no matter how hard we try, we can never quite live up to what we thought it was going to be. And there's a lot of things that we committed to earlier this year, whether it was a person, place, or thing, somewhere in that time frame of the first half of the year. I'm just going to do it that way. Especially high price focused for March and April. We made certain commitments. We did certain things back then, but we did them in temporary energy. And for a lot of us, we're coming back to certain things of the past, whether it is recent past or further back. For a lot of people, there's a recent energy to it. For a lot of people, it's a mix of both. But there's this vibration of we can't go back to what we thought we had. The illusions never turned into something real. We chose the rose-colored glasses. We chose to fall in love with the potential. We chose to believe the lies. The lies that were told to us, the lies that we told ourselves. And a lot of people are going into this week with a very raw emotional state. And we are still in Mercury retrograde. It's going to continue until the end of the week. And as we go through this week, we're going to have not one planet end its retrograde, Mercury, but two. We also end Saturn's retrograde. There's a lot of the energy that feels like it's time to create a new role, a new responsibility, new tradition. But it's a bittersweet vibration. It's bittersweet whenever it comes down to realizing that this is the last holiday you're going to spend with your parent or your grandparent. It is bittersweet to be in these little moments of trying to share space for your children, knowing that your partner is not going to remain. I see a lot of people do this. You come to a conclusion, you realize right before the holidays that something's not working. And for one reason or another, we're like, I'll just get through the holidays. I don't want to break up at Christmas. I don't want that tarnish. I don't want that turmoil. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want to ruin this for the kids. Let's give the kids one more year of a happy holiday. Let's do this one thing. And again, there's something very bittersweet in the moment. It's surreal. It gives you elements of what's familiar, but also there's a dark underbelly truth, and that is things will not continue. The wounds are too deep. The betrayal has been too much. The jealousy is too real. The scars are not healing. There's something about this week that we start to realize we have to pick ourselves back up. Now, we are still in Mercury retrograde, so we're still trying to wrap our head around a lot of things. And we do have some kind of support that does come through this week, and that has to do with Venus. And Venus kind of takes over the show this week whenever it comes to her vibration as to a level of awareness, support, and surprise that kind of comes through. Because it tells me that there's going to be something extra as to how we overcome the hump. You know, you're sharing that last holiday across the table from your soon-to-be ex. Y'all just ain't said the words yet, but you were able to talk to your sister about it. You were able to talk to your brother about it. You were able to talk to your mom about it. So in some way, it's like I have a little bit of support right here. I have some kind of alliance. I've got something extra that just helps me get through parts of the bitterness. There's some level of support that comes through based off Venus being able to finally do something in the transits. There's still something we do not see clearly. There are still certain turns in our mindset and our emotions and our behavior. There's still certain turns that needs to happen in the healing process, but there's support in the turn, in the healing, and in the need. And I'm really digging Venus's energy this week. And by the time we get to the end of the week, right after Mercury turns direct, Venus will change signs. And that's been the one interesting element of this entire Mercury retrograde is the entire Mercury retrograde was Venus going through her detriment, retracing old wounds, bringing up the old things, making us realize certain things about our loved ones, about our own behavior and the ways that we see love. Rethink, revise, revamp, revisit so we can heal properly, re-break the bone so we can heal properly, so we can overcome a wound. By the time we get to the end of this week, in some ways, it's like we get to start to wrap the new wrapping, the new bandage, so it does heal correctly, so the bone actually sets. There's still a lot of emotion to this week. And there might be little spikes of jealousy or rage, but I'm not quick to say that. And there's a very interesting part as to how we start the week as to why. Mars is going to square the nodes. That will quite literally be the first thing that I show you whenever we get on to Monday. And we haven't had a planet square the nodes in a while, so I'm going to remind everybody of what that means and what that represents. And that is, we hit the bending of the nodes. South node here, north node here. We hit the bend, and we start to gain traction towards whichever node we are moving towards. Mars, the god of war, our desires, the things that we are moving forward with, the actions that we take, the reactions that we are having, will suddenly hit the bend, mathematically speaking, it's a numerical thing, and start moving towards the north node. So even in the loss, we still have a little inkling of gain, a little inkling of a turn. And it's the first inkling. There will be others. As we go through December, we're going to have a lot of energy going into Jupiter's signs, bringing up hope and prosperity and abundance. And it is going to move us towards certain gains. This is the week where we see the first little inkling of gain. It's very small, as well as support. Some of us are going to be able to sit down and talk to our best friend. We're going to be able to talk to somebody. We're going to have that person comes in that we get to start making the joke with. Hey, there's this level of support. I'm still here for you. You're still my girl. It's still going to happen. There's some level of support in the energy. Lean into the support. Lean into the things that can give you advantage. Lean into the things that can give you connection, that can give you a different outlook. You will still feel your emotions. There are going to still be deep-seated wounds inside of here. But that doesn't mean that we don't also have other people that can see the difference in us and help pick us up. Some of you are going to be the Venus people. And you're going to be in situations where you're going to recognize a pattern, recognize somebody is doing something all over again, and be like, oh, would you look at that? Let me help you up. Let's get into the chart. Let's get into Monday. Let's get into this vibration. All right, first things first. Oh, here's Mars, 14 degrees, 32 minutes. Here's the south node, 1432. Here is the north node, 1432. Now, we don't have any big transit that coincides with this. So this is just an energetic pull. Some of us are going to be waking up Monday morning feeling a little bit better. Again, feeling support. If you don't immediately feel support, it might be support that starts to manifest throughout the day because we have a number of transits that follow this. So this tells me like it's an energetic click, but it doesn't actually necessarily come with a full arrival of something. Like it doesn't necessarily come with the full shebang, the full picture in this moment. It doesn't have to. We have a number of transits that are going to happen throughout the day that might actually have that support, the perspective, the healing, the handout, whatever that's going to be. So let's continue throughout the day and we'll get a better idea of some of the stuff that we are looking at. So let's get into lunchtime hour because we got a couple things going on simultaneously. So got this now at 1:30. Between 12 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to hit a sextile from Venus. You can see this right here, but simultaneously between 1:30 and 3 p.m. So really this is or 3:30. This is really a window between 12 and 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Venus will hit a sextile to the moon as well as Mercury hitting a sextile to the moon. What you're seeing here develop is we're getting close to a Venus-Mercury conjunction. This will be the first in a series of 3. And there is basically support, Venus, understanding in the revisions, in understanding the wound, in the change. There's some kind of like attaboy, there's some kind of reward, there's some kind of support by having done the change, by having done the work, by finally recognizing you got a really bad significant other, that you've been in a really bad toxic pattern in your relationship. Like there's some element of support that comes through. And sometimes we need a third party. This would be the sextile to the moon to actually make something happen. It's like calling one of your best friends or texting in the friend group going, hey, I can't get a hold of so-and-so. Can anybody stop by? Has anybody heard from him? Hey, I'm around the corner from his house. I'll totally hit it up. Great. Let us know what you find. Let us know what you see. Like there's like an extra element of knowing that a meeting needs to happen, knowing that a connection needs to happen, knowing that somebody needs support. That's what kind of part of this feels like. As we get a little bit later at between 2 and 4 p.m., so I'm going to bump this now to 2:30, the moon will also hit a square to Chiron. You can see this here. It's more exact, a little bit closer to 3 p.m., but this is fine. The moon hitting this square to Chiron, and Chiron is also in Mars' sign. We're looking for a solution. We're asking questions about the wound. We're asking questions about what is kind of happening, going on. And considering in the other Mars ruled sign, we have this Venus Mercury starting to build up. Some of the solutions, some of the wounds, some of the plans that we need to talk about, some of what we're working through is going to be coming through in like this deep seated revealing of truth, especially to people that we feel safe with. That's the bigger part of that. Now, as we get into the afternoon, we're going to have a couple of transits all kind of go back to back. So this is basically going to encompass the rest of the evening between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. So I want to just get this to 6:30, and I feel like, yeah, that's fine. That'll give most of us. So first things first, between 5 and 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon in Capricorn in Saturn sign is going to hit this conjunction to Jupiter. Not conjunction, this opposition. Why did I say conjunction? Anyways, there's a conjunction building. Okay. The moon is hitting this opposition to Jupiter. Something about responsibility, something about being productive, something about the elder, looking at the doctor, the guru, the teacher, some kind of lesson, some type of responsibility, some type of weighted decision that must be expressed where we need to get additional feedback. Considering this is coincided with the moon's sextile to Saturn, you can see this right here. The moon is 25-0 with the Saturn being 25-9. While this is all going on between 7:48 and 7:57, so I'm going to just bump this now to 7:30 because that's going to still keep us there. We get our actual conjunction to Mercury and Venus. There is something about the evening time in regards to the support that is no longer continuing, where we've given lessons in the past, where we've given money in the past, where we've given treatments in the past, and kind of a shift in the responsibility or a shift around responsibilities or a shift around government, a shift around authority figures. There's something very foreshadowy in this vibration, even though we don't realize it quite yet. But there is these little things that are kind of coming through. It's like, hey, put pins in what's starting to get released. Put pins in what's starting to happen. because in some way we're going to come back around to it. In some ways, this is going to be bigger than what it is. The reason I say that is because this is the last time the moon will be in Capricorn while Saturn is retrograde, because again, his retrograde will end this week. So there is something about the shift. Even if we're not completely announcing the shift right now, it's like talking about our desire to shift something. And considering we have that Mercury retrograde with that conjunction to Venus, I want to change this. I want to do something different. I want to change jobs. I want to go in this other way. I don't want to be with that man anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And it's again like telling that person that would support you no matter what, it's coming to an end. It's coming to a close. I've had a revision in my thoughts. I got a different plan. I want your feedback. How do you think this can go? This is a foreshadowing energy that will encompass more events over the course of the next few months. I need people to really hear that, because we will have 3 of these conjunctions between Mercury and Venus. This is just the first one. The next Mercury retrograde will be the 3rd. So we have a lot of things that are being met where we desire a change. And that's the big thing that's kind of being encompassed in this vibration. We desire a change. We need support in that change. Some of us, we are the support, like, babe, I will help you with whatever you need. We can pack up boxes. Some of us, we are the support. Others, we are the one that needs the change. There's a very big window of foreshadowing in this vibration. Some of us are going to have really big conversations about what has been broken, where the wounds have been, what we have been crying about, what has been going on, what has come to the surface. And again, there's still this energetic shift of like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to feel so broken anymore. And that is a big part of this conversation. But it's not necessarily loaded with tears. For some people, of course, it's going to be that way. But I think for a lot of people, it just comes to like a new age of clarity, of realizing that something has reached a turning point that we can't revise, revamp anymore. We can't keep trying to commit to insanity. We have to do something different. And there's something very deep in this vibration about that. After this moon opposite Jupiter, sextile to Saturn, and of course this Venus-Mercury conjunction, we're done with the transits for the day. The only thing about this Venus-Mercury is just because it's exact in the evening time doesn't mean anything. This level of support can come in at any time. It can come in anytime throughout the lunchtime hour. It can even be something that we continue to deal with as we go into the 25th, so going into the next day, because right after midnight, we still have both of them at 22 degrees. Just be aware the human effect sometimes is very important. And just because something didn't come through right at 7 p.m. your time doesn't mean anything. Now, as we continue to go through the 25th, whenever it comes to that 2 to 4 a.m., I got it now at 2:30, the moon is going to go through a trine with Uranus. This is going to be a little bit more exact, closer to that 3 a.m. marker. So there can be something about being productive as well as dealing with some level of technology. There's something about being productive, a responsibility, telling someone something else, and they are shocked by it. There's something unexpected to it. There's something that we could be revealing to certain people that they are not aware of, considering while the moon is going through this trine with Uranus, it is simultaneously going through a sextile to Neptune. And a lot of people are starting to, again, have different breaks in parts of their reality. There's an environmental shift as to where we see ourselves and what we're seeing around us. And a lot of people, whenever you go to tell somebody what's been going on for a very long time, it's a shocking thing. It's a confusing thing. And it's not necessarily what people know exactly how to handle or what to anticipate. But even in the support, because we still got this Mercury Venus stuff going on, it leans into a lot of the equation of expect the unexpected. You're not seeing everything clearly. There's certain things from the past that you do not know about. And that doesn't mean that anyone is lying. But also take everything with a grain of salt. So let's be fair about that. At 4:15 a.m., the moon is going to go into Aquarius, and things are going to become a little bit more pronounced, a little bit louder. And whatever starts to come through from Tuesday, Wednesday, and a little bit into Thursday, there's going to be some stubbornness. There's going to be some cold shoulders. There's going to be some words that get said very, very curtly. And it's very easy to be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Nothing's necessarily wrong. It's just they're finally saying something or acting on something or announcing something that's been sitting there for a while. And there is a bit of a coldness in the words that get expressed and how things are getting expressed. And we're finding out again more things about what's been going on in environmental situations. I don't mean this in like the environmentalist way. I mean in our environments, at work, at home, at the bar, at the shop, at wherever, stuff in environmental, like in proximity situations, that once we learn about something or once somebody comes clean or once somebody tells the truth, like there's just no way of going back. There's something about news that almost shatters the glasses. It shatters parts of reality, but it's the rose colored glasses, what I'm talking about, like the lens that we choose to look at things through. It becomes very, very loud, but like steady in what we start to deliver once the moon goes into Aquarius. It's very interesting. All right, we're gonna keep this going. The moon, of course, is now in Aquarius as we get into the morning time between 6:30 and 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm getting this now to 7:30. The moon is going to hit this conjunction to Pluto. I felt like this was going to be a little bit more intense for some people, so I gave a bit of a larger window on it. So 6:30 to 9 a.m. Meeting about something that's been going on behind the scenes, below the surface, meeting about some kind of change that we want to make, something that we want to transform, meeting with the plumber, meeting about something that's been going on behind the walls, below the surface, in the drainage. It's a weird week for the holiday because we're going to see some of the plumbing things that going on too. Pluto can always have to do with plumbing. And whenever it comes to for other people's, there is going to be some kind of shake in a power dynamic. Because remember, this Venus Mercury energy, oh, this happened in Pluto's sign. So parts of that vibration can be very triggering. And again, there's something cold about what can be said once the moon goes into Aquarius. And I feel like a lot of people are going to learn something between Tuesday and Wednesday. And most specifically, like who's not coming for the holidays and who's never coming again. Like it's that type of thing. We met where we start to announce and pronounce a lot of things that are very hyper vigilant, cold, and just straight to the point. I'm done. And if the other person's not expecting that, it's not necessarily going to go over well. Between 10:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I got this now at 11:30, of course, the sun is going to hit a sextile to the moon. Now, this all in all, it's not a heavy energy. It's a recognition energy. It's checking on how somebody's feeling. It's giving a little bit of confidence. Hey, if you need me, I'm supportive. I'm here. I'm with you. The sun in Sagittarius, the sun in Jupiter sign, it is hopeful. It is boastful. It is wanting to bring forth a different kind of energy, but we're not quite ready for the full hopeful, boastful that's going to follow, the jovialness of what Jupiter can represent. There's still some final little things that need to be nailed out. There's some final little things that need to be cleaned out. And again, there is something here about, hey, how are you feeling? I'm not feeling great. I don't really want to talk right now. I don't really want to do this. I just told my parents I'm not coming back. Like there's something like where it is a recognition of emotions and a recognition of support, but there's still something in the emotional side that's very cold for many people, or it's a very hard thing to voice because they're not used to being this way. It's like, I'm not used to shutting anybody out of my life. I've never had to cut someone off before. Well, it's a great time to start. Let me tell you how. Now, most of the transits to Tuesday, it's in the overnight hours going into the morning time. That doesn't mean we are not going to have stuff going on in the afternoon, because we will, but it's really just kind of an unfolding to all the energy that's already been there. There's no more exact transits to the 25th. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the 26th. We're going to get into Wednesday. The moon will be in Aquarius all day long. And we have this real interesting energy towards that level of support, but it's also like understanding past vibrations to get to this level of support. And this is going to start to kick off in the morning time. So between 10:18, sorry, and 10:37 a.m. So I got it at 10:30. This is going to be exact. Jupiter 2446 is going to go through a trine to Venus. Jupiter to Venus is very supportive. It's very hopeful, but this is still falling into this bittersweet energy because Jupiter is retrograde. So moving backwards, and Venus is in her detriment. So the support can also come with bad news, regretfully. It's giving you a result, but it's not necessarily the result you want. It's telling people what they need to hear, even if they don't like what they hear. It's still trying to innate lessons and show people how to turn something around, even if that's not exactly how it was meant to go. There's something bittersweet about this trine. And considering while Venus is going through the trine with Jupiter, she's also going into that trine with Saturn. It's going to be a little bit more exact later, but it's still part of the energy that we're in. There's something about this energy of just like recognizing something from the past, lessons from the past, teachings from the past, understandings of something from the past, people from the past, how they've led to something now, and how we're willing to work with it or not. Some people need to have very hard truths so they can turn something around. And that's a key part of this. As we continue, or I'm sorry, in the same time frame, whenever Jupiter is going through its trine to Venus, Mars is going to go through a sextile to the moon. So you can see this right here. This is the most exact between 10:30 and 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we're just at the start of this right here. But Mars, again, just had that squaring to the nodes, the bending of the nodes. There is some level of gain, even in the coldness. There is some kind of action or reaction or some little type of jest and poke sometimes just to get a reaction. I mean this in the sense of like, sometimes you got to tell a really bad joke or remind somebody of something that really sucked at some point, but it's to get them to laugh from the past. Like there's something about that past vibration feeding into this. And again, it goes into that moment of bittersweetness. You remember that time that dad fell down down on the ice and we laughed all day? Like it's that kind of stuff. We need that bittersweet with just like that hint of trying to break through the cold, but I don't know that everybody can break through the cold. As the day continues, we will get our exact trine between Venus and Saturn. This is going to happen between 5:38 and 5:56 p.m. That'll be, of course, its exactness, but we're in the vibration all day long. Here's Venus, 25 degrees, 8 minutes. Here's Saturn, 25:9. And there does seem to be something very specific in this energy whenever it comes to, again, understanding the support, what's not going to continue, what's the responsible thing to do now, where can we build some other type of tradition, where can we do something a little bit different, who can we support in a different way, because this is a stationing Saturn. In fact, it's about 24 hours before he ends his retrograde. So there's something in the Venusian support coming through, the results that's coming through, the extra little bit of something coming through that tends to enable some kind of turnaround. Maybe we're talking to our friend going, I would normally go to my parents' house for the holidays, but I'm not going. I've decided to stay home. Okay, well, great. Then come over here instead. Really? Absolutely. Come over here instead. We can make our own thing. Like it doesn't have to be all about that. We can create a different tradition. We can do Friendsgiving. We can do something else. Like we don't need anyone else. We can do this on our own. Just come over to my place instead. Okay, I'll think about it. What do you want me to bring? Like there's something in this that's like, oh, yeah, we could do something different. Oh, it doesn't have to go the normal route. Oh, I don't have to be responsible for everything. There's something in this support that just kind of shows an initiation of a turnaround, but it's not quite the turnaround quite yet. That will be more exact on Thursday. Now, As we get into the evening time between 8 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I got this now at 9:30, Mercury is going to square the moon. So here's Mercury, 21 degrees, 19 minutes, hitting this square to the moon. This is a stationing Mercury. He's now at that little point of the sky where he was back around that week of October 20th, the one that I was beating up on forever. He's now stationing back into an area of the sky where we're getting a different idea of something. We're getting some stagnancy. We're trying to get something worked out. We could still be kind of spinning in our emotions and spinning in our feelings. And I feel like the spinning might hit some people right around here because Mercury, again, it is stationing, hitting that square to the moon. The moon, of course, is in Saturn's sign, and Saturn is also stationing to end its retrograde that's going to happen over the next 24 hours. So there can be some kind of news about the change of opinion or the change of plans or that something didn't go right. And there's some level of a delay. Just, I don't know. We're not doing it. This issue with travel, this issue with the card, like it could be something like this, or we had a different idea, or something didn't go to plan. There's something about this energy with Mercury going one direction and the moon going the other that it's just like not hitting the dots. And some people, there might be some tension, some coldness, some disagreements. But for other people, it's just that awareness of the change of plans. I think there's going to be a mixed bag with this synergy. It's like, hey, yeah, we're decided to go to his parents' house. I decided to go to my friend's house. I don't want to do this with you. I don't want to do the normal thing. I don't want to do what everyone else is going to want me to do. All right, now we're into the 27th. And on the 27th, right after midnight, so between 12 and 2 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon in Aquarius is going to hit a sextile to Chiron. There's something about the wound. There's something about the healing. There's something about things that we want to find solutions to, even though we don't necessarily know everyone involved with the problem, or we're not necessarily tied to any kind of problem, but we're just trying to work through some solutions. We're going through some YouTube videos. We're trying to do something. It's very small. It's kind of more of a mundane energy, but there does seem to be some kind of thing right around that late hour of Wednesday evening into this early Thursday morning area that we're just trying to find a solution. And for some of us, we didn't even know we were going to have to find a solution. And not all of us are going to get the solution in the middle of the night. Some of us are going to have to try to go find certain places that are going to be open on Thursday as the day continues. Now, between 4:30 and 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, so I got this now at 5:30, Venus, 25 degrees, 46 minutes, is going to square the moon, 25:45. The moon can still be kind of in a cold vibration, but I don't necessarily feel like it's going to be completely cold. I feel like there can be some elements of just kind of being stern, especially about the taste of something, the appearance of something. We can have a different questions, or this can be one of those things that, like, I'm going to teach you how to make this food. I'm going to teach you how to do something different, or I'm going to make something that you've never tried before, and you just got to trust me. I don't know if I'm going to trust anybody. I don't really care if you think you're going to trust us or not. Like, this is what we're doing. Venus is in the higher authority, giving some kind of direction. It's a little bit stern, considering Venus is still loosely in that trine to Jupiter and that trine to Saturn. This is a continuation of energies that we've already been in. It doesn't necessarily feel new, but it could come through with some direction. It can also come through with some unexpected results as the day progresses. The reason I say that is between 11 and 1 a.m. Now I got this at 11:30. The moon is going to hit this square to Uranus. Well, Uranus is in Venus's sign. The moon is in Uranus's sign. So there is some like layered effect of expect the unexpected, of course, because it's Uranus. But in addition to that, taste, support, understanding, giving reflection of stuff that we've done in the past, and it might be shocking to somebody, or we're giving direction of how to do something to technology that somebody might not have normally done. Like, there's direction towards something that can be a little bit exciting. Like, I feel like we start to shift out of our funk a little bit by the time we get to Thursday morning. And right after the moon hits this square to Uranus at 1:24 p.m. Central Standard Time, where am I at? Okay. The moon is going to go into Pisces. Now, we're going to start mutual reception again. Jupiter's in the moon sign, the moon is in Jupiter's sign. So there's this energy of like, little bits of initiation of something starting, Jupiter in the cardinal sign, and a transition, like the transition and the start, the transition and the start. For some people, it's going to be kind of a creative energy. For some people, we might be in our feels a little bit. We might still have some emotion, but there's something about this that feels like, again, with the right kind of support, if we would agree to do something we don't normally do, by doing something different, by doing the opposite, it helps with some healing. Recapping some stuff that I've said for a long time. Doing the opposite can help with some healing. The moon is now in Pisces. I'm really kind of enjoying this. I think this feels a lot better. I don't feel like we're quite in that cold energy as we've been throughout the early parts of the week. And as the day progresses, the moon going into Pisces and just kind of getting lost in some of that Jupiterian sauce and doing something we wouldn't normally do, doing something that's a little bit more exciting, a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more go with the flow. Once we get into the evening time, I just passed it at 9:51 p.m., Saturn ends his retrograde. By doing the opposite, by doing something different, by not following the normal tradition, by doing something out of the box, by trying something different, we now have some kind of weight removed. Saturn turns direct. The responsibility shift. Saturn turns direct. Venus still loosely in that trine to Saturn. The support, the layered effect of the week leads into some kind of turnaround. And for some people, it will be an emotional turnaround because it is Saturn in Pisces. The moon is now in Pisces. But we also have Mercury over here also in this spiraling energy. So for some of us, it's just like because something went right, we have that level of emotion of like, this is the best Thanksgiving I've had in so many years. Like, why are you crazy? I don't know, but I am. But I am. Some of us are. It's going to happen. If somebody's in tears, let them cry. Let them get it out. It's not that big of a deal. We're going to keep this going. We're going to get into the 28th. We're going to get into Friday. And of course, the moon is going to be in Pisces all day long, right in this midnight hour. So between midnight and 2 a.m., I got it at 12:30. The sun is going to square the moon. Now, the sun, of course, is in Sagittarius. It is in Jupiter's sign. Here is the moon also in Jupiter's sign. There is a transition in the energy starting. There's a hopefulness in the transition that is starting. There can be a little bits of hits in our confidence, but I don't mean this in the negative sense. There's a boost. Something is starting to hit transitions. And in that transition, different people are going to come through. Different faces are going to come through. Different traditions are going to be done. There's differences in the vibration. And again, there's creativity. There's something healing. We're doing something we wouldn't normally do. We're doing the opposite. This is the best way to get through that energy. If we're not getting through the opposite, if we're trying to force ourselves to get through, that last Thanksgiving with our, soon to be ex, we're still trying to go through the motions. There might be triggers of emotions here, of insecurity or rounds of tears that kind of find their way out, but that's not necessarily a big or part of the energy. I actually feel like this is going to have a lot more of a hopeful energy, but it can be nostalgic as we go through that quarter moon. There's a buildup that starts to happen after this. Now, as we go through the day, there's not a lot of transits through Saturday, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that we're doing stuff or not Saturday, Friday. We are doing a lot of things. But again, we're trying to be creative. We're trying to do healing things. Some of us are going to have very important downloads or direction. We're going to hear some things throughout the day that give us some direction, especially based off of the afternoon. I got this now at 3:30. And in this 3 to 4 hour, the moon is going to hit the conjunction to the North Node. Now, we don't have a bunch of other transits happening while this is happening. So for some people, it's going to be an epiphany. There's going to be ideas. There's going to be something that shifts into focus. There's something that's going to be a little bit more positive. There's going to be some kind of direction in some way that's kind of a boost. I really like this. I meditated on this for a while. And this feels like a bit of a boost throughout the day, but it doesn't feel like an explosive, like, running marathons type of boost. It's just like, I'm feeling okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. Some people will still be kind of mentally spiraling because Mercury is trying to end its retrograde. But given everything else in their placements, I don't know that the spiral is as bad as what it has been over the last few weeks. I feel like we're looking for ways to overcome our anxiety and we're looking for alternatives, but it's like spinning and spinning and spinning and not being able to focus on one thing quite yet. And a lot of the focus that can come through could be like these little moments, like, I hadn't thought of that, type of things that we don't immediately act upon. It's because our minds are spinning, looking for so much, trying to understand so much. The moon hitting that conjunction to the North Node, again, right there in that afternoon. Now, as we get into the evening time, this has a little bit more of a force to it, and there can be some pressure, there can be some frustration, and there can be some tension because, again, Mercury is stationing in its retrograde. It's not even ending yet. I wish it was. But Mars is going to hit this square to the moon. Mercury is stationing in Mars a sign. And this is where I feel like as we get into the evening time, as much as we can have like some really interesting directional conversations of giving actions or reaction, this can also be a little bit more snappy. And where if we have people that are being triggered highly by anxiety, that it's finding its way of coming out. And there can be some tension, there can be some frustration, there can be some arguments. I feel like this kind of heightens it. So some of us, whenever we get to Friday evening, there can be frustrations. But for some people, it's going to feel like it comes out of nowhere, or the thing that gets said because of the condition of Mercury in Mars' sign. It's one of those things that, again, once certain things get said, that it can't be unsaid, it can't be undone. And we still kind of have that one final saying undone situation that needs to kind of find its way to the surface. And this feels like one of those moments where it can be said. It feels like the most dominant energy if that is in fact going to be the case. All right, we're going to keep this going. We're going to get into the 29th. And this is the last day of Mercury retrograde. And it is a busy day with transits. Between 2 and 4 a.m. Central Standard Time, Mercury spinning, spiraling, anxious, deep-seated emotions finding their way to the surface, all this ancient history finding its way to the surface, hits this trine to the moon. Look, I know things just keep coming up, but we got to find a way to heal. We got to find a way to work through it. We got to find a way to turn something around. Some of us are going to be having moments where certain people are spiraling and we're trying to focus in on them. And simultaneously throughout the weekend, most exact on Saturday, there'll be other things that kind of come through that it's like shocking levels of support, shocking things that capture your attention, people that kind of come through unexpectedly. And it's almost like a pipe dream of what kind of comes through right here in the spiraling energy. And you can't even focus what comes through in the first part of the moment because Spirally McSpiral over here is losing his crap. It's interesting, the layers to how this day is going to continue. But Mercury in the overnight hours hitting this trine to the moon, there's that final level of change, final level of something, final little hits of adjustments, of frustrations. It's going to be a really hard night for anyone that does bar life. Friday night going into Saturday with this final little hit with Mercury and that little hit with Mars that we had in that late part of Friday evening. There's going to be some tensions, and I don't like driving on this particular overnight, Friday night going into Saturday, just to be clear, now that I'm really looking at that. Okay, we're going to keep this going. As we get into the morning time, between 8:30 a.m. and noon, we got a couple things going on. So I'm going to put this at 9:30, and we're going to start right here. Between 8:30 and 11 a.m., the moon is going to hit a trine to Jupiter. Now, remember, the moon and Jupiter are in mutual reception. The moon is in that mutable sign, Jupiter in the cardinal sign. There is a hidden or understanding from the past. There's something being understood about what is transitioning. There's some kind of support. And there can also be some really finite things in regards to elders or responsibilities, stuff that is weighted in the discussion that needs to be had, that needs to finally come out. If we didn't have something happen in the overnight hours, we're definitely going to have something in this little lunchtime area or brunch time. There you go, brunch time area. Because while Jupiter is going through the trine with the moon is starting its conjunction to Saturn simultaneously at 11:39 a.m. So got this down at 11, I got 12:30. While all this is going on, while that moon is hitting the conjunction to Saturn, the weight, the responsibilities, the thing about law, the rules, the government, the boundaries, the contracts, Mercury turns direct. We can have some very supported, necessary, timely conversations going into Saturday morning. That it's like once it gets said, once it gets done, once it is understood, once it is announced, there is no undoing. And now we can set some things straight. Are we immediately able to set some things straight? No, but there is something that will institute reaction as we go through the rest of the weekend based off of like how this ending towards the Mercury retrograde just kind of came through. There is something very timely in this vibration. And this is not the only thing that's going on. So we're going to keep this going into the afternoon. Okay. Between 4 and 7 p.m. So I'm giving a larger window there. I've got it now at 5:30. Venus, 28 degrees, 54 minutes, is going to hit the trine to the moon. The moon is going to hit that sextile to Uranus. And it's going to hit this conjunction to Neptune. This feels like it's putting something into motion. We're giving a different idea. We're doing something different, or we have somebody that comes through that's very exciting or unanticipated, but we still have the spirally mixed spiral. Like this feels like there's two energies going on simultaneously. And it's either we're going to chase the thing that seems fun, exciting, curious, or we are dealing with all the responsibility of the spiral situation. There's two different vibrations going on right here. One has levels of responsibility based off of the earlier parts of the day. The other one is again going to be something that kind of institutes a level of reactions because there's something new that's meant to come through over the weekend. And the human effect is it's going to come through at different times for everybody. But there's reasons why I'm saying this. Now, the moon kind of comes through and gives a foreshadowing of energy of like, hey, we want to make some plans. Hey, I got this great idea. Hey, you want to go look at some Christmas lights? Hey, you want to go sing some karaoke? Hey, you want to go do this thing? It's completely spontaneous. It's completely unplanned. There is some level of confusion, but there is, again, still something that's kind of unfolding throughout the rest of the evening going into Sunday. So there could be some like early set plans in this like dinner hour that's going to lead to more things, because as we get to the 8:45 to 9 o'clock time span, so I'm going to bump this now to 9:30. What's going to happen is Venus is going to hit this opposition to Uranus. This will be the last time these two go through an opposition in these signs. Now, what I will admit, in Venus and Uranus had a conjunction at 29 degrees back around July 3rd and July 4th. So we can have some stuff from the summertime also coming back around, also coming back up to the surface. But it's like the next phase, the next wave of something. If it's not something that goes back specifically to that time frame, then there is something new that's starting to come through unexpectedly, but I don't feel like everybody has the chance to react to it. Now, in this same time span, the moon has moved into Aries. Now, over the next 24 hours after the moon goes into Aries, the moon is now in this triplicity energy of like, the moon is in Mars' sign, Mars is in Jupiter's sign, but Jupiter's in the moon sign. So we have this layered effect towards like a triplicity of transition, beginning, new things coming through, but it's like that first little glimpse of new, the first little glimpse of something. But the problem is, not only do we have new coming through, but we have this other stuff going on too. So it's like something captures our attention, but it's like, I can't talk to you yet. I got to do this. I know we're going to talk. I can feel we're going to talk. I know something's coming up here, but I got to focus over here. I'm busy here. But there's a reactionary energy that starts to come through once the moon goes into Aries. And while we're also going through these next few days of the moon in Aries, Venus will also change signs. So there's something very passionate, very reactionary, something that's kind of giving a different drive in the atmosphere. But how quickly we can actually react and link to it is going to be different for everybody, because it feels like we suddenly have a new interest while something else is going on. And for some people, that's going to be exciting. For other people, it's going to be very frustrating. It really kind of comes down to how you're dealing with all of this. Okay. The moon is now in Aries. Of course, Venus is going to hit this opposition to Uranus. You can see this right here. And as we continue into the evening time, there's still going to just be that one or two little bits of weighted energy, because between 9:30 and 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Pluto, weight, the trauma, the abuse will hit this sextile to the moon. Some of us still have the one or two things from that spirally energy, considering Mercury ended his retrograde in Pluto's sign. There is still one or two vibrations of like the past, the abuse, the trauma, the things that have been triggering, the things that have happened in the past that is feeding into parts of the actions or the reactions. But then there is this other thing of something going on between Venus hitting this opposition to Uranus and the trine to Neptune. Now, for some people, this will be all encompassing. It is something from the past situations, the past vibration, either the summer or the spring, whether we're going to talk about Neptune or Uranus. Venus is also building her trine to Uranus. So that's why I'm bringing up the Neptune part. It's very likely we've had something from the past, some vibration from before, something that's been going on for a while, coming through with a new, fresh set of eyes while simultaneously dealing with something else. Or for some people, it's the new thing coming back up that it's like it connects the dots of something from before. And we're about to start reacting to it, but it's still got some small element of frustration or trigger given the Pluto sextile to the moon. Saturday is wild with how much energy is in it and how much is going on. And I really mean it. There's going to be some things that start to capture our attention that we can't even focus on yet, the way they come through. Now we're going to get into the 30th, our first full day of Mercury being direct, of course. There's still going to be some of that spiraling energy whenever it comes to Mercury. There's going to be some kind of truth in that type of vibration, but we still have some kind of odd level of like new transitional energy that is coming through, and that will continue throughout the day. Now, Venus will hit her actual trine to Neptune between 2:47 a.m. and 3:05 a.m. Central Standard Time. So here's Venus 29:23. Here's Neptune 29:24. Now, this Venus trine Neptune, it was playing a part of Saturday. It was a part of like the cloudiness, the capturing of attention, the stuff that we didn't know. It was part of that vibration of Saturday. Venus is still very much in this opposition to Uranus. And there can still be some like expect the unexpected. Some people are going to have people from the past coming back around. We're going to have something from the past coming back around. And again, we're going to get a whole different element of something that we did not know before. For other people, there's going to be something new that's trying to come into focus, but we can't quite react to it quite yet. And I don't think that we can until after Venus changes signs, honestly and truly. So let's keep this going. We'll get to that point. Between 9 and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this now at 9:30. The sun, 8 degrees, 40 minutes, is going to hit this trine to the moon. This is a little bit closer to exact at 10 a.m. This is fire to fire, passion to passion, reaction to reaction. There's something kind of floating our confidence, building our confidence, something that has sparked an interest, something coming through unexpectedly. For some people, it's a past thing coming through unexpectedly, and it's sparking a reaction. And it's a reaction that's going to initiate some energies towards transition. There's initiations to transitions right here in the weekend that we didn't have earlier in the week. This Saturday, Sunday vibration compared to the rest of the week is two very different time spans. I got to be clear about that. But there's something about like support, passion, drive, ambition, confidence, leading into some type of arrival, some type of action, some type of reaction at 2:14 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's now at 2:30. Venus enters Sagittarius. Venus leaves her detriment, goes into Jupiter's sign. She is now arriving. And for a lot of people over the weekend, even going into Monday and Tuesday of next week, there are arrivals. We are in a new thing, a new person, a new idea, a new concept coming into focus, coming into the vibration. There's something new that's meant to come through. And the new literally comes right after some final round of energy towards the Mercury retrograde. And this is why I keep saying, like, there's something about the weekend that it's like, we're dealing with this spinny spiral. Get to the facts, get to the figures, get to the truth, get to the bottom of something with Mercury ending its retrograde right after Saturn did. And there's a level of support that's needed to get to that point. But then it's like after this, or while this is unfolding, something else is coming into the peripheral. Something else is coming into view. There's a car right here. It's coming up the shoulder. It's coming into view that we were not anticipating. There's something unexpected. For some people, it can be something from the past unexpected. For other people, it's going to be something new, but in a familiar environment. Like, what is this? I feel like the new will be more of what we start to focus on next week. I think there's too much lingering in this week to be even able to go, what is this? Who is this? What am I talking about? What are we working on? Who are you? There's a newness that starts to creep in over the weekend, a transition of our focus that starts to creep in over the weekend. But I don't think it becomes our focus immediately. I feel like many of us were torn doing like two things at once, supporting someone over here, helping somebody move some stuff out. Who's that hot neighbor? Your neighbor's hot. Who is that? What's going on over there? Can't even focus on that right now. Can't even focus on that right there because we got too many boxes. The U-Haul got to get back. We got too much going on over here. We're changing something. We're doing something very necessary over here, but there's a distraction. There's something that captures our attention. There's something that's shifting into focus. But it literally is meant to come through right through the weekend in this very unexpected wave of kind of crazy. So we don't completely see that vibration clearly. And we can't even give preference to it or give weight to it because still something else is going on. And I feel like, again, this is going to be something that takes us into next week and i.e. next month. Because once we get into December, the vibration is going to pick back up. The confidence levels can start to get restored. There's going to be a very big transition in who we're talking to, the things that we're focusing on. Things will start to really shift, big, bold shifts in December. But we have this final wave of splits, different directions, different paths, change of opinion, change in tradition that needs to happen throughout the week. And the human effect for everyone is going to be a little bit different. So there's that. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Book your sessions at the discounted rate because, again, once we get to the end of the week, I will be raising the prices back to their original pricing. And then again in the future, if I go to run a special, they will never be as low as they are right now. So take advantage while you can. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.